Hey, good morning. We've got a little bit of autumnal crochet again. I've also got a pussycat joining me here. Not sure how much you can see of her. She keeps going up and down on my desk. But basically, you'll have seen from the thumbnail, we are doing a little acorn, of course, chocolate orange cover. Now, you can see I've still got this hanging here. The reason being is I wanted to talk about the sewing this part on. So I thought it was easier to leave this one done like that, and then we can sort of swap over halfway and I can show you what I did with this one. So as I say, little acorn, just a little bit of fun. Again, autumnal theme. It sits quite nicely without the orange as well. So you can just have it as your home decor. Can't they? Yes, you have the home decor. You having a sniff? No? Okay, fair enough. Hopefully she doesn't show you her bottom like she did before. So we're going to go top down now and make our little crochet chocolate orange acorn cover. I will see you in a second. So here we go with our little acorn. As I mentioned, I've not finished sewing that up just because I want to sort of discuss how I'd sewn it on. Obviously, you might have your own way, but there are a few beginners out there, so it's nice to show them sort of how I actually did it. Now, I have two colours of yarn here. I've just realised there is a hook in it. I couldn't find the hook, so I went and got another one, and it was actually stuck in the yarn. I've got to stop doing that. But basically, these are double knit yarns. They are both Stylecraft. This is just their plain DK, and as you can see, this one's got like a marl type or tweedy sort of fade. It is on all the sort of Stylecraft sites. You can get the various wool companies, so it is quite nice because I just thought it gave it a little bit of extra edge with the colours, that's all. So that's why I've gone with both of those. So obviously the body of the cover is in this one. Again, you can choose your colours. You might have a nicer colour. I wasn't quite sure on the colouring on this one, but you can sort of play around with whatever colours you would like. Maybe doing various sort of tones of autumnal colours would be nice, something like that. But that is one I'm going to be using for the main body. Now, the hook, as I've just mentioned, is a 3.5mm crochet hook. I hope you can see that. And also, don't forget, my crochet is in UK terms because that can make a massive difference, because the US terms particularly do have that variation. So if you think if I say I'm doing a DC and you think, oh, that's not a DC, it's an SC, some single crochet, it's the same stitch. It's just that over here we call it one thing and you guys call it something else. That's just how it is. How that's happened, I don't know. Somewhere sort of translating of patterns or something, it's changed it. I don't know. So I have some scissors, I have some needles, so I'm going to put them to one side because I don't need them at the moment. We're going to have a little orange. I'll put that to one side. You can see there's the orange. Now, I mentioned about it standing on its own. So if you wanted it just as a decoration, you could sort of just make it as a little decoration. If you are wanting to fill it in completely, I do have a video where I talk about how all my chocolate oranges, you can decrease them until they make sort of like a little soft amigurumi object inside it. I was sort of tempted to put a face on this, but because it was an orange cover, I've left it. But I think if you did continue it and put a little face on it, it would look very cute. So this is what we're going to do now. I will stop chatting about that and we will move. I'm just thinking because this shadow comes from that side, I'll move it to this side. In fact, I'll move that yarn. I'm moving everything around everywhere. This is the one we want. And we'll put the little orange in the corner and you think you can just see it there. So my wool's already coming apart. Drives me mad when it does that. So we just want to do a little wind up there. Otherwise I'm going to get tangled, which is something I always do in my yarn anyway. So, as I mentioned, don't forget UK terms. It is an amigurumi style-esque project. I don't think there's anything else I need to say. We'll just get going. So, I need a slip knot for my hook. On it goes. Don't do it too tight. We need a little bit of movement there because I actually sort of work back into that first stitch. So, let's see how this is how I start my amigurumi. This ring keeps whistling around for some reason, whereas I know some of you may choose to do the magic ring. Up to you. I don't mind either way. It's whatever makes you comfortable. So I do 2 chain and then I go into that first chain and I'm going to do 6 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now I'm just going to pull that tight. That's the make sure where the slip knot came from. If you haven't done a slip knot, it won't pull tight, but because it's underneath this, you might get away with that. We're now going to do 2 double crochets in every single one of those 6 to give us 12. So here we go, 2 double crochets in each one. So that's 2 in that one, 2 in number 2, 2 in number 3, 2 in 4, 2 in 5, and 2 in 6. So we now have 12 stitches. I'm just pulling that tight again. We are now actually going to move on to working in half trebles, which isn't traditionally for amigurumi. I can't even speak. Amigurumi, that's the word. But it still will work in that system. You can't really do a treble with it, but you just get away with half trebles. So this is my first stitch here, and I'm going to do a half treble. I'm not going to do a slip stitch join or anything. I'm just going to go straight in with a half treble. So yarn round into that next stitch, pull it through. When for a half treble, when we've got 3 on the hook, we pull it through all 3. Yep, we're going to go back in the same space and do another half treble. So that's just given me 2 half trebles into that space, and we're going to continue that all the way around to give us 24 stitches. So that's number 1, 2 half trebles into number 2, 2 in number 3, in number 4, so 2 in every one, remember, number 5, number 6, or not, there we go, number 6, number 7, number 8, almost there, number 9, number 10, number 11, and number 12. So we've done 2 stitches into each of those 12, so I now have 24 stitches there. Now I've just thought something I haven't got out was a stitch marker, so bear with me. I have a little tin right next to me. Let's see if I can get it out of the box. Here we go. Now this is my little tin of stitch markers in here. I love this little Christmas tin. So I've got all sorts in here. I thought for some reason I got an acorn. What shall I have? What shall I have? So much choice. I love a stitch marker. I knew I had. Look, I've got a little acorn. So we're going to use that little acorn as my stitch marker. You don't have to use a stitch marker, but if you've got a nice quiet space and you're working, you can count. That's great. It works out better. But if you're like me, you've got other distractions, other sort of family members, the cat, all sorts of things. So it's best to have that stitch marker ready. So I'm going to pop it in directly below where that last stitch is, because I know I will lose count on the next bit while I'm talking. In it goes. So there's my little stitch marker in place. And we're going to continue with half trebles, but the combination of 2 in the first one, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around, and that's 12 times that little combination, and it'll give us 36 stitches in total. So let me find that first stitch. Sometimes it's hard to see, you just need to pull it over very slightly. So off we go. So 2 in the first one, and then a 1. So that's our first set, and as I said, we need 12 of those, so I need another 11 sets. So I have a 2 and I have a 1. I will try and count. That's our second set. I have a 2. I have a 1. It's our third one. I have a 2. I have a 1. That's number 4. I have a 2 and a 1. Number 5. I have a 2, and a 1. That's number 6. Let me just pull some of that yarn out before it goes flying across the table. So that was number 6, wasn't it? I have a 2. I have a 1. That was number 7. Number 8, we have a 2 and a 1. And 9th, we have a 2 we have a 1, number 10, we have a 2, and a 1, number 11, we have a 2, we have a 1, and then I should have one more set, which just does exactly bring me to my stitch marker. I have a 2, and I have a 1. Okay, so we are round now. I have 36 stitches. We don't need to do any more increasing. In fact, let me take that off and show the orange. It's looking very tatty. I bought one of the green ones. I don't really see the mint ones, but to start my Christmas ones, I've bought that one. So this one might be going into retirement. How might that work? We will see. So you can see roughly how it's sitting. So I need no more stitches. I now need to work down until I've covered my orange. Now some of you might have a slightly different tension, so keep an eye on that. You might need either one less or one more stitches. If you're a little bit tight, you may need to have increased an extra stitch, which is easy enough just to throw in somewhere. It's not be noticeable because apart from the fact that goes over this top bit anyway, and just make sure it's going to fit around your orange. So keep measuring it. That is the key to this. So now leave my stitch marker there, or we'll leave it there a couple of rounds. I'm going to do 7 rounds in half treble. So if some of you want to sort of get on with your half trebles and come back to me when I do the top bit, that's great. So I'm going to do 7 half treble rounds, 1 double crochet round. Okay, so 7 and a 1. But keep checking it on here to make sure those numbers work for you. So off we go. Oh, it's just gone a little bit dark outside. I hope it's not going to affect the lighting for the camera. We'll see how it goes. So off we go. This is round number 1, and they are just half trebles. Just 1 half treble into every single stitch. Now this is the time if you just want to watch me also, if you're not skipping but you just want to watch the stitches. I don't know, turn the volume down, put some music on, I don't know, whatever works for you, whatever makes you relax while you are crocheting. I know some people say they sort of quite like listening to me talk. I know I had a comment recently on one of my others, one of the small ones, and all they put was talk too much. Yeah, I talk too much. It's just who I am, I'm afraid. But you never know what people want. Some people want you to chatter. I like to chatter. Other people like to chatter. Some people like it nice and calm and quiet. But the beauty of YouTube, you can do that. You just turn the volume down. Or you just sort of, I don't know, skip things and things like that. As I said, pop your headphones on, pop some nice music on. There's always those options on there. So it's always good. So hopefully it suits everybody, because I really don't know where that line is. And I do find it hard not to keep chattering. So we're almost round. I think I need to move the stitch marker up actually, because it looks a little low down there. You can see it already starting to curl, which is good. That's what we want, because ultimately it has to curl around our orange. Right, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to move my stitch marker. Really, you need to be moving your stitch marker sort of every couple of rows if you're just relying on it, because it does make a difference if not. So I have my pen and paper here, so I'm just going to mark that one down, and you can see the curve there, but we need to push it this way. It's very easy to continue doing it inside out if not. I have done it. I know how it feels. So round 2 or not, if I don't drop the stitches, off we go. 1 half treble into every single half treble. And so this is a bit that's a little bit tedious, but it's necessary. Otherwise it doesn't cover your orange. And if you think it is only 7 rounds of 36 stitches, it's not actually that much, is it? See, we're already halfway around that second one. If you do make one of these, pop me a comment below. Let me know how it went, any problems. I do try and solve any problems. Can't promise I can always solve them, but I do try. But yeah, pop us a comment below just to say hi. If you want to say hi, just come and say hi. Almost round for number 2. You can see it's proper curling round now, isn't it? Right, round to number 2. I would say that's my second round done. And again, just keep pushing it out so you know which is your right side and which is your wrong side. I'm just looking at the stitch marker. It would have been quite nice to sort of go for the green range. That's sort of like a not quite ripe acorn. I mean, they're all different. If you go and look at the trees, there are different types. Right, round 3. So it would look quite nice if you did different versions of them, wouldn't they? Here we go with round 3. Yep, that's looking about right now. In fact, let's have a little try. Can you see? Can you see how it sort of sits on? It's not overly tight, but you can see how it's just slightly sort of wide of the orange. It just sits like a little hat. Let's keep going. This is definitely the last autumnal thing I'm going to be doing. I really do need to sort out Christmas. I've got lots of ideas, but I know you guys are going to want to start your Christmas projects like now. In fact, some of you have probably started a while ago. I have noticed sort of my pattern sales and my YouTube views on Christmas things are definitely going up. So I know you're all busy getting some work done. I will get a pattern done for this one as well. I'll try and get it up as soon as the video goes up. So if you do like a written form of the pattern, it will be there for you to purchase. Right, that's another one round. So we've got 3 now, we're on round 4. I do know not everybody likes to read a pattern, hence why I think YouTube is so popular for patterns and crafting, because it's sometimes easier just to watch someone. And I think the process of crochet has been handed down historically from family to family, but without reading the patterns. So there's a lot of people out there can crochet beautifully, but have never read a pattern. So sometimes the videos are just ideas, aren't they? But this is just saying the patterns are there if you want them. I know I like to have a pattern, even my own. That sounds really vain, doesn't it? But yeah, I print off all my own as well. So round 4 almost complete. If you're still with me on the video, pop a comment, just a little wave or something like that to know. No, I'm not talking to myself completely. Ta-da! Round 4 completed. So we're over halfway, so let's see how it's sitting. Yeah, over halfway on my count and approximately halfway round my orange. So we need round 5. Oh, I'm dropping the stitch. If you drop a stitch, it's no big deal. Just drop it, start again. If you do find it a little bit quick as well, if you are a beginner, don't forget you can slow it down in the settings as well. So you just go on that little sort of cog sort of icon. I didn't even know this for ages, my son that told me. And you can go on there and you can do it at various speeds. but you will want to get rid of my voice if you do that, because I sound like I've had a few pints, because it slurs the speech as it slows it down. That's round number 5. This is a nice quick pattern at least as well, you know, if you're wanting to do some quick presents or just some quick autumnal sort of, well, people are starting Halloween now, let alone autumnal, but just some nice sort of quick and easy decorations for your home. Right, that's number 5 done. I really should move the stitch marker up. There we go. And round number 6. And now I'm about halfway because the stitch marker's just clicked on the table. So the thing is, the work gets longer, it hits the table, which can be a bit annoying. Couple more and that's round 6 completed. So we're on our last round of just half trebles, because I mentioned, like I say, you may have skipped, but as I mentioned, there's 7 rounds for my tension anyway of the half trebles and 1 round. Yeah, the light does keep changing a little bit. Unfortunately, this time of year it does get a little bit like this. I think it's okay though. I hope it's okay. So I'm on my final half treble round, as I was halfway through saying, then got distracted because of the light, and then we'll do 1 double crochet round, but we will look how it sits on our orange before we decide on that. There we go, click on the table. So we're over halfway. So back to the acorn, and then we'll do a little measurement just to check. And this is where you would be doing your adjustments. So I'm going to pop it on my orange and have a look. Now that's pretty close to the bottom, so I'm happy with that, because remember it's yarn, so you do get a bit of a stretch. If you sort of stretch it, you will find that happen, so be careful with that. So I'm now going to do just 1 round of 1 double crochet in each one, which pulls it together a little bit. If you're finding it's too loose, I mean, look, you can see it can be loose-ish, you can see the gap, but if you think it's way too loose, you can decrease a couple of stitches at this point just to pull it round, because again, a couple of sort of equally decreased stitches, whether it's 1 each side or either way, or 4, it's not going to make a lot of difference to your work. It's not that noticeable. Just try and keep it even. That's the main thing. So off we go with 1 double crochet in every single one of these stitches. just by changing your stitch from a half treble to a double crochet just does tighten it up anyway. But as I say, if you wanted to sort of decrease, if you think your work's a little bit loose, they're quite stretchy half trebles, so hopefully even if your work's a little bit tight, you've got quite a stretch in there, so it should be okay. Sometimes you find if you take it on and off the orange a couple of times, if you think it's a bit tight, it will just stretch naturally. So that is another way of doing it. If it's super tight, it's either perhaps you've missed some increasing, or you might need to up your hook size. Usually a 3.5 is pretty good though. Right, so we're round to our acorn. So we can slip stitch join. You don't have to slip stitch. I just think it looks flatter at the bottom when you're working. Let me grab my little scissors. Ta-da. And that is our orange cover. You can feel it's tighter just because I have put that on. So that's my cover. So I'm really pleased with that. And as I mentioned, it should stand alone as well. So that is quite nice for that. So we'll leave it on our little orange for a minute, although I really could do doing it on the other one, but we'll sort that out after. We'll move this yarn to one side and pull in this one. As I say, I just loved it because of its sort of patterning, and also I thought it gave it a little bit more texture, even though, as you can see, this is pretty textured, but I thought it just gave it a little bit more woodlandy sort of vibe. So for the actual top, comes to one of my favorite stitches, we're going to be doing popcorn stitches. Now they are easier than they look if you haven't done one before. So we're still now moving on to our top. I did have to pause it because I went wrong. I can't even read my own patterns. That's terrible, isn't it? But yeah, I did go wrong, so I've paused it. I'm hoping it's not going to show too much of a glitch, but yeah, I did go wrong doing it. That's just terrible, isn't it? Right, we need to start with a slip stitch. I knew I was making it harder for myself. I'm thinking this doesn't feel right, so that's why I double checked. So we're going to do 2 chain. It's going to start the same as this one. So we have 6 double crochets into the first chain. So we've got 1, 2, or not. Here we go. 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're now going to have 2 double crochets in every single one of those 6. So I'm going to have a 2 in that first one, 2 in the second one, 2 in number 3, 2 in number 4, number 5, and number 6, or not. There we go, number 6. Right, now I need to pull my sort of tail of the yarn there where my slip stitch was. I need to just tighten that up, and I'm going to actually do a slip stitch into the next stitch. Now we have 12 stitches there. We now need 12 popcorns. Now with popcorns, there's a beginner popcorn. You'll see in a pattern it'll go BEGPC, a beginner popcorn, and there's also one that just says popcorn, and they can vary in sizes. You can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's all sorts of different ones. So they are treble stitches in this particular case, and yeah, they're quite easy to do. But the beginner one is the first one of every round, and it always starts, in my case, with 3 chain. And that 3 chain does count as a first treble. Now the stitch hole, you can see it's just in there, you can just see it there, is directly below, and we're going to do 3 more trebles into that space. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Taking the hook out, leaving a little bit of a loop there, and we pop into the top of that first 3 chain. We grab our loop, try not to let it twist, pull it through, and we do a chain. That's just my anchor chain that holds it in place. Then I'm going to do another chain. That's my chain space, and then into the next stitch I'm going to do a 4 treble popcorn, because that was the equivalent, because that was the beginner one, it doesn't count. I am now going to do a 4 treble popcorn. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. My yarn nearly fell off the table then. And then I'm going to take the hook out. This time, instead, on a pattern, it will say top of the first treble to do this, but I'd be a bit naughty and I just go into the chain space. I grab the loop and I pull it through. Says me, trying to make it easier and made it harder. We do a chain which anchors the stitch. Then I'm doing a chain, which is a chain space, which is between the two stitches. So if we go again into our third stitch, we need a 4 treble popcorn. 2, 3, and 4. Into the space, grab it, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. Into our next stitch. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Take it out into the chain space, grab the loop, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. Into the next stitch. We're aiming for our 12 popcorn stitches here, so hopefully we've counted right in the first place. So that's 2, 3, and 4. Take it out into the chain space, grab the loop, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. Into our next stitch. So we have 4 trebles, 2, 3, and 4. Take it out, chain space, pick it up, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. So we're about halfway now. Obviously there's a lot of stitches in each stitch, so it does feel like it takes a little bit longer. So it's 2, 3, and 4. Take it out, pop it in, grab the loop, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. Next stitch, here we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Take it out, pick it up, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. So we should have, let's see how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yay, we did it. We've still got another 4 to do, like, but I have actually got the right number. It's always a worry when you do that. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pick it up, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain. We've got 3 more for this round. So we have 4 trebles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Anchor chain, chain space, chain. Sometimes you need to stretch it to see where your stitches are. That's why I keep doing that, just to make sure I'm getting into the right stitch. 2, 3, and 4. Pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain, and this should be our last one for this round. That is, there's not that many rounds, so it's not that bad, this bit. It's just trying to explain it to start with. It takes a little bit longer. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you've probably already done it. 2 and 4. In you go, pull it through, one chain, and then we're going to do a slip stitch join into the back of this one. It's a bit weird, it's where the stitches came together. Okay, so I'm going to do a slip stitch, and that's that round done. But then the next round I'm going to slip stitch into this next chain space. So there we are, ready. And our first stitch is that beginner popcorn, remember, and we're going to have a combination now. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it on this one, but this is the round we've just done, and then the next round we do 2 sets in one set, 2 sets, 1 set, all the way around. So I'm going to pop that down and let's get going. It's not really any different, there's just the odd extra chain in there, that's all. So we got 1, 2, 3 counts as our first treble. Yarn round, and we need 3 more trebles. take it out, and remember this is the first one. We actually go in the top of our 3 chain, we grab it, we pull it through, anchor chain. Now this time I've paused a second because I'm going to do 2 chain here, 1, 2, because whenever there's 2 of these little popcorns together, I want a slightly wider space between them, so that's why I've done an extra chain there. So back into the same space and 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Take it out into the chain space, grab the loop, pull it through, anchor chain, only 1 now because we're moving on to the next stitch. When you're moving on to the next stitch, it's only 1. When it's between the 2 little clusters here, it's the 2. Okay, so this time into that chain space still, it's just 1 treble popcorn, 4 treble popcorn, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same as we've done before, pull it through, 1 anchor chain, 1 normal chain. The next one's going to be the 2 cluster, so in it goes, 4 treble, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now I need to obviously turn it into a popcorn first, so we grab that, pull it through, 1 chain anchor, but then 2 chain because we're having 2 in the same hole here, and another 4 treble into that same space. In we go, grab it, pull it through, 1 chain, but only 1 chain because we're moving on to the next stitch now. So whenever you're moving on to another stitch, it's only 1 chain. So in we go with 1 set of the popcorn, 2, 3 and 4, and pull it through, anchor chain, 1 chain because we're moving on to the next stitch. And the next one we will have the 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Bring the popcorn together, anchor chain. Remember this is a double one, this one now, so 1, 2. Okay, back into the same space for our 4 trebles. This yarn's determined to try and jump off at table. 2, 3 and 4. Pull it through, we're jumping on to the next stitch, so that's the anchor chain, that's the 1 chain to move on. This time it's a single one again, single set, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Pull it through, anchor chain, only 1 chain, and jump to the next one where we're going to have 2 again, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Pull it through, anchor chain, 2 chain. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Pull it through, 1 anchor chain, but only 1 chain because we're jumping on to the next stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Grab it, pull it through, anchor chain, only 1 chain because we're moving on to the next one. Again, a double one. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain space, pick it up, pull it through, anchor chain, 2 chain. So same stitch for another set of popcorns. Well, it's a chain space really, we're not going in a stitch, are we? We're going in the space, which is actually makes it a little bit easier. What have I done there? 3, 4, we go, pull it through, one chain. I'm just double checking I've done 2 in there. Yeah, so it's just one chain because we're moving on to the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Take it out, put it in, pull it through, anchor chain, 1 chain. So we should have 2 left, which we have, because this one should be a double one, this should be a single one, so we know we've got the right amount, which is always good. I did actually, first time I did it, I had to undo it because I got to the end and I'm like, hang on, I can't fit another one in, and it's just purely because I'd missed a double one out here somewhere, so I had to undo it all and start again. 2, that's 4, grab it, pull it through, anchor chain, 2 chain, because this is a double one, isn't it? In we go with our second one for the pair. 2, 3, 4, 1 anchor, 1 chain, and our very last one for this round is just a single popcorn of 4 trebles. That's 2, 3 and 4 into the space, pull it through, chain to hold, chain space, chain, slip stitch into the back of that first one, and then slip stitch, because can you see the chain spaces now, slip stitch into the next chain space, and we're ready to do our next round. And as you can see, to be honest, this is the last round because that's our increase middle one. So the next one is literally just 1 treble popcorn into each of those spaces. So it is quite easy, this one. So I will start you off with that, but then I'm not going to fully finish it because it's just the same stitching all the way around. And I know sometimes that gets a bit tedious for you guys to watch. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, counts as our first treble, in with 3 more trebles. Into the top of the 3 chain, because this is the beginner one, pull it through, anchor chain, chain space, chain, and just straight into the next one. 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3, 4, pull it through, 1 anchor chain, 1 chain space, chain, into the next one. My paper's slowly being pulled onto the page as well. 1, 2, 3 and 4, grab that chain space, pull it through, anchor chain, 1 chain, just jump into that next chain space. I like working in chain spaces, it makes it so much easier. 2, 3 and 4, pull it through, anchor chain, 1 chain. So I'm going to do 2 more. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 chain, 2 chain, the second one being the chain space. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, in we go, pull it through, anchor chain, 1 chain. So can you see what's happening there? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I've already done, and if you look at all the chain spaces, that would be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we should end up with 18 little popcorns all the way around that final round, and then that is it. You fasten that off, no extra round, it's just purely just fasten it off when we have 18 of these popcorns around, so you can see how it's starting to shape. Yeah, now the only thing we do need to add, in fact I'm gonna have to take a little bit of yarn out of there, aren't I, because I need to finish that off after the fact. Perhaps I should have just finished it, I don't know, could be a wrong decision there. But there's just one little thing you can see on the top, so we'll move that to one side, of our acorn. And it's the little bit where it comes off the tree, basically, isn't it? So it's super, super easy, that bit. You don't have to add it. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer. You can play sort of with how you want that to sit. You could do it a different colour. It could be perhaps more green, something like that. As I said, go and have a look at what the trees are doing, and it will help you make a decision on your colours then. So, 2 chain. We've done it before. 6 double crochets. That was tight, that one. There we go, there we go. I'd split the yarn there. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Pull that tight. Now we're not going to do any more increases. It is literally those 6 stitches, and you go round them 4 times. A little bit awkward, this one, sometimes, but it is worth it, and sometimes you do have to do it when it's smaller. So into that first stitch, so we've just got 6 stitches, 1 double crochet in each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It will curl around something terrible, as you can see. So I'm just going to pull that tight, and then I just push it over my little fingers. My little finger there, that's my little finger, isn't it? So to push it onto the right side. Now again, another round of just 1 double crochet into each of those 6s. 1, it'll turn itself inside out again. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Let's turn it back again. Makes it easier to see if you turn it so you've got your right side. If you leave it on the inside bit, it's hard to see the actual stitches. So another round. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It's staying the right side this time. One more round, because I said there was 4 rounds. So here we go, but you could do it shorter or longer, it's up to you. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And again, that is it. So make sure when you do cut these yarns, you're cutting off enough to sew it onto whatever area you want. I mean, that's probably too much there, but it is best to make sure you've got a long piece of yarn. I'm just going to do a slip stitch to finish. Finish off the yarn like that. Now if you want this sort of have a little bit of stuffing, you can do. I just basically used the yarn that's there and pushed it inside, and it just gives it a little bit more. Let me push it in properly all the way in. Just gives it a little bit more sort of bulk to the actual item. Now before I sewed the main bit on, I do actually, let me knock that off over there, I actually sewed this on to the top first. So it's easier to do because you can just finish off inside there before you put it on here. So I would recommend you sew that on first. It doesn't really matter, you can sew it on afterwards. It wouldn't make any difference. It just makes it a little bit harder to get in to actually do the sewing. So I sewed it on first. Up to you how you do it. Now obviously what you need to do is, because that's going on the inside, you don't have to worry about sewing that one in too much. Just make sure it's nice and firm. So it's basically sewing in any ends that are required. There's only 2 on this, and there'll be only a couple on the top. And then I like to actually work on the orange to sew my pieces together. You see I've not actually sewn my ends in yet. So I'm going to pop this one back on the orange. And I decided where I wanted this to fit, like a little hat over my acorn. So I've already stitched this bit. It's easy enough. This is the long length of yarn I left from when I sewed, when I was actually completing this and fastening it off. And all I'm doing is, because we've got chain spaces now, I'm sort of like picking up where the chain space is and then picking up a little bit of the orange and just pulling it through. So picking up a stitch, picking up, I'm saying the orange, just orange colour, you know what I mean, the acorn's body. And I'm just going to do that all the way around to make sure it is stitched securely to the bottom. Now I had thought about putting a bit of stuffing in here, which does give it, if I pull that up, you can see it does give it a little bit more shape. So perhaps a little bit of stuffing could be something you want to do, but it doesn't really matter. That is just a personal choice. So we're going to just continue round, but because it's on the orange, it's not going to make it too tight. If you did it off the orange, there's a chance you could pull your stitching in a bit and then it's not going to fit back on our orange. So, and it's nice to hold it as you're actually stitching. It does help you stitch everything into place. So it's like this. So I'm actually already round. I'd already done half though, hadn't I? So it didn't take much doing. And our very last stitch, like with everything else, I'm going to do a slip stitch. Make sure it's nice and firm. And because we've got this sort of like hollow in here, I can just push it through a few times. Now make sure you really do push it through a few times, otherwise it could come out. It should hold itself if you do that. I'm going to do another one. So it's pushing through all the other yarn. And let's fasten off. Well, fasten off, cut off, because we've already fastened off. And there we have the little acorn. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please pop, as I mentioned before, pop a comment below if you've made it. It'd be lovely to hear from you. If you do it and pop them on Instagram, again, pop me a tag. It's always great for me, and it's lovely to see what you guys are doing and seeing the colour ranges you use and things like that. And again, if you enjoy my channel, please like, subscribe and share, and I will see you all very soon with hopefully a Christmas tutorial. See you soon. Bye bye for now.